Okay, welcome back to Daily Driven Alpha. You'll notice that the engine is in the project car, and you would have seen on the last post that we tested it out in the Julia Super Wreck that we had outside in our boneyard, just to make sure that it was running and we're happy with it, so that if we had to pull it in and out, it wasn't this car, no potential damage. So what we'll do today is we'll walk around the setup. We'll talk about some of the things that we found once we put it in. We had a couple of little issues, some things that we learnt, and you can have a look at how we've set our test environment up, and then we'll come back, we'll fire the motor up, we'll listen to it through the rev range, have a look at the oil pressures and the like. So let me get set up and I'll walk you around. Okay, so similar to what you saw in the wreck that we tested it, radiator's in, fully buttoned up, sitting on its mounts, batteries in, earth leads in, don't forget the earth has to be good on Alphas, notorious for having problems with earthing. Exhaust's hooked up, brass nuts on there, anti-corrosive, so makes it easier to split apart. Copper nuts, 12 millimeters, ordered from Classic Alfa. The reason these are 12 millimeters is to give you clearance between the header and the nut. If you're using any other nuts, you'll have a hell of a time with your spanners. Right, let's quickly look at the electrical setup. Firstly, tacho. That's just run with the tacho cable down through here to the drive that sits off the water pump. So don't need any electrical power for that. That's mechanical. You'll notice that all the wiring, etc., has been tied up. We're not using any of the car's electrical system at this stage. But it doesn't mean you can't still run your instruments, and I'll just quickly show you how simple this is. For example, you'll notice here the temperature sender, just run a wire from that to the back of the water gauge here. That's in. So we're just using the terminals at the top end of this water gauge for the car. We run a power wire to here, 12 volts, and we run an earth to the body. Now this earth strap here, along with the earth strap from this, is just being clamped to the body of the car. The power wires, both of them, we're running them through via one single wire down to the battery over there to give us 12 volts. Just make sure you don't have that 12 volt touching any open steel parts here. Make sure everything's insulated so you don't short circuit anything. So that's how that is. The hoses we've connected up for the heater and the hose from the water pump, we've connected that up to the heater box, and what you want to do is make sure that you don't have any leaks from your core or your hose clamps in here, and thankfully we haven't seen any fluid leaking in here, and we've tested and made sure that it's open, and the hoses have been getting nice and hot, so we know that we've got fluid flowing through there. So obviously you want to have that tested at this stage before any of your interiors in here, so that you don't end up having to rework or damaging any of the stuff that you've put in. Right, now let's just quickly talk about a couple of the things that we've learned when we put this in. So after we tested it in the wreck, we checked the oil and it was down a little bit. So we took some of the Penrite 15W40 running in oil and just poured some more in to top it up. Didn't check to see how much we'd put in, just sort of eyeballed it, chucked it in. When we started the car up in here, we had clouds of smoke fill the shed, and what we'd done is we put in probably close to half a litre too much, and what happens there is that gets thrown around in the crankcase, works its way up into the cylinders and causes all sorts of issues. So the solution was that we drained a litre or so of oil out of it, checked the oil itself, checked the sump plug for any fines or any metallic sludge, and then just re-topped it up just below maximum, and that seems to have solved that issue. The other issue that we had was we had coolant leaks, and these were coming out of these three studs here. and I spoke to an engine builder friend of ours, and he said that was normal. When we re-torqued it, he suggested as you take each nut off separately, you don't take them all off, one at a time, just clean them up, put a little bit of grease underneath the washer and red Loctite, Loctite the nuts, and torque them back down again. You obviously need to torque everything in a particular pattern. He then asked us what head gasket we were using, and if the head gasket doesn't have its own torque settings, which ours didn't, he said re-torque this down cold in a particular pattern to 60 foot-pound. Now we torqued out to 50 foot-pound, which was the centerline charts. 60 foot-pound is normally for the 1750 motors, but he's built quite a number of these motors, and he said just don't go over 60, but bring it up to 60 and see how we go. So we've done that, stopped the leaks. It's been brilliant, happy with that. No oil leaks out of the seals, front or aft. We haven't got any oil leaks out of the sump. Coolant leaks we've solved, so we're happy with that. Right, what I'll do is I'll get set up and we'll fire this up so you can see what it's like through the rev range, have a look at the oil pressure, and one other thing I just wanted to share with you is we've just used a leaf blower to provide us with some airflow through the radiator if it starts getting warm. Don't forget to have a fire extinguisher on hand just in case. Right, obviously with fuel this time we're using the fuel tank in the car. We've got that all hooked up and running through the fuel pressure regulator and the fuel pump, so that's a lot safer and a lot nicer. So let's get set up and let's listen to this motor run. Okay, there you have it. So took it up and down through the rev range. One thing, obviously, no dramatic increases in revs suddenly, but work it up and down through the rev range. Don't leave it idling for too long. Make sure you keep an eye on the temperature and the oil pressure. If you have a drop in oil pressure, obviously shut it down pretty quickly. But that's it. Motor's run. You'll notice a little bit of a backfire there as it was running, but as we said in a previous post, we only set this up sort of by hand. We haven't even timed the motor. Carbies haven't been tuned. We haven't even used a timing light. So it's running pretty good given that scenario. Thanks for watching. And just a bit of a shout out to Car Spec out of the US. They're building a motor at the same time as we are. So have a look at their channel. Provide your comments and updates, and we'll provide you with another post once we've got something productive to show you. Thanks for watching.